Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Puffy's muzzle flash was a little lower, and he was on the side closest to where I was, straight ahead from me. I watched them both fire their guns.
The entertainment world has been rocked to its core as explosive new allegations against Sean Diddy Combs have surfaced, threatening to dismantle not just his empire, but the very foundation of an industry already riddled with scandals. In a shocking twist, Jennifer Lopez, one of the biggest names in global entertainment and Diddy's former partner, has come forward with allegations that cast a damning light on his business practices. These revelations are not just salacious gossip. They are a wake-up call, exposing the dark underbelly of an industry that thrives on power, secrecy, and manipulation. What Lopez has revealed is more than just a personal grievance. It's an expose of a calculated system of exploitation that might implicate more than just Diddy himself.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
At the heart of this bombshell is Lopez's dance mentorship program, The Movement, a celebrated initiative designed to empower underprivileged young women through the arts. For years, it was seen as a symbol of hope and inclusion, praised for offering opportunities to girls who dreamed of making it big in the entertainment world. But according to Lopez, this very program became the target of sinister intentions. She has alleged that representatives from Diddy's enterprises approached her with offers of sponsorships and resources, promises that seemed too good to be true, and they were. These offers, she claims, were part of a larger scheme to surveil and potentially exploit the young dancers participating in her program. Far from being an act of goodwill, these overtures were allegedly designed to gain access to vulnerable young women under the guise of mentorship and opportunity.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers describe the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious trafficking charges in a New York court.
This revelation comes at a time when Diddy is already under intense scrutiny. The mogul is currently facing federal charges of racketeering, human trafficking, and transportation for illegal purposes, alongside a slew of lawsuits that describe a pattern of abusive, manipulative, and coercive behavior spanning decades. The allegations include hosting what prosecutors have called freak-offs, substance-fueled performances involving coerced participants, some of whom claim they were recorded without consent. Authorities have even raided his properties, uncovering disturbing evidence such as substances, surveillance equipment, and what they described as supplies for these alleged events. Lopez's claims now add another devastating layer to this already damning narrative, implicating him in a broader pattern of predatory behavior that extends far beyond his personal relationships.
How many people came through his orbit? How many people could this have happened to? And how did he get away with it for so long?
Lopez's account is detailed and chilling. It paints a picture of young women, many from underprivileged backgrounds, being carefully monitored by individuals connected to Diddy's companies under the pretense of providing mentorship and financial aid. According to sources close to Lopez, representatives from Diddy's enterprises routinely attended events and auditions for the movement, using these occasions to gather information about the participants. There are even rumors that some of these representatives kept detailed records on the young women, including their personal backgrounds, vulnerabilities, and potential for exploitation. Lopez, alarmed by the growing presence of these individuals, began questioning their motives, only to be met with vague assurances that their interest was purely philanthropic. But her instincts told her otherwise, and now, years later, her suspicions appear horrifyingly justified.
They were referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil Astroglide.
Industry insiders have corroborated some of Lopez's claims, describing a culture of surveillance and control within Diddy's circle. One source, a former associate who worked closely with his management team, described the mogul's obsession with maintaining dominance in every aspect of his life, including the women he surrounded himself with. According to this insider, Diddy's team operated like a tightly controlled network, ensuring that potential threats or obstacles to his reputation were dealt with swiftly. Non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, were allegedly a standard tool used not only to silence victims, but also to intimidate anyone who might witness or question inappropriate behavior. These NDAs, it is alleged, were often presented under the guise of routine paperwork, leaving many unaware of the full extent of what they were signing.
I thought he was this clean, businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
What makes Lopez's revelations even more alarming is the professional retaliation she claims to have faced after rejecting Diddy's advances. Almost immediately after she began distancing herself from his enterprises, Lopez alleges she was blacklisted in certain circles. Long-standing partnerships were abruptly dissolved, projects were shelved without explanation, and whispers about her being difficult to work with began circulating. This pattern of retaliation aligns with the broader allegations against Diddy, which describe a man who uses his power and influence to silence dissent and crush opposition. Lopez's experience, if true, underscores the lengths to which he was allegedly willing to go to maintain control not just over individuals, but over the narrative surrounding him. The implications of Lopez's claims are staggering. They suggest that the entertainment industry has not only enabled, but actively protected individuals accused of predatory behavior for years. The alleged use of a program like the movement to target young women raises questions about how many others might have been victimized in similar ways. And the fact that Lopez, a global superstar with immense power and influence, felt the need to tread carefully when speaking out speaks volumes about the culture of fear and silence that permeates Hollywood.
Currently facing serious sex trafficking charges.
Adding to the urgency of this unfolding scandal is the sheer number of lawsuits and allegations piling up against Diddy. Beyond Lopez's claims, federal prosecutors have painted a picture of a man who used his wealth and influence to create an empire of exploitation. Witnesses have described being coerced into degrading acts, often under the influence of substances provided by Diddy's team. Some have alleged that they were videotaped without consent, with these recordings later used as leverage to ensure their silence. The scope of the accusations is breathtaking, implicating not just Diddy, but potentially dozens of enablers who operated within his orbit. The question now is how deep this rabbit hole goes. Lopez's revelations have already sent shockwaves through the industry, but they may just be the tip of the iceberg. As more alleged victims and insiders come forward, the picture being painted is one of systemic abuse and corruption at the highest levels of power. And while Diddy's legal team continues to deny all allegations, the sheer weight of evidence and testimony being brought against him suggests that this is a reckoning decades in the making.
Sorry. People don't really know how much what it does to you when something that you love is taken from you and thrown away like it don't even matter, and then they move on with their lives and you're stuck. You're stuck during those years. You're still stuck 21 years later.
Sean Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges against him.
For Jennifer Lopez, stepping forward with these allegations is more than just an act of courage. It is a call to action. Her story is shedding light on the darker corners of an industry that has long operated in the shadows, protected by wealth, influence, and a culture of complicity. The entertainment world is watching closely, and the stakes couldn't be higher. This is not just about Diddy. It's about an entire system that has allowed figures like him to thrive unchecked. And with Lopez refusing to back down, the message is clear. The days of silence and impunity are over. The clock is ticking and the truth is coming out. But as we peel back the layers of this scandal, one question looms large. Why now? Why is Jennifer Lopez, a global icon who has carefully navigated decades in the spotlight, choosing this moment to speak out? The answer, it seems, lies not only in her own courage, but in the ripple effect of a growing wave of allegations that have finally reached a boiling point. For years, whispers about the entertainment industry's darkest secrets have circulated, tales of manipulation, coercion, and a culture that thrives on silencing dissent. Now, those whispers are becoming a deafening roar, and Lopez's revelations may just be the crack that causes the entire dam to burst.
The defendants are charged with criminal possession of a weapon in the second degree and third degrees for the possession of loaded 9mm guns.
Consider the timing. Diddy's carefully curated image has been unraveling at an astonishing pace this past year. From the explosive lawsuit filed by Cassie Ventura in November 2023 to the ongoing racketeering and trafficking trial that has placed him in the crosshairs of federal prosecutors, the narrative around the mogul has shifted dramatically. It was Cassie's lawsuit detailing years of emotional and physical torment that opened the floodgates, sparking an avalanche of similar claims from others. More than 100 individuals have now come forward, each with their own harrowing story of exploitation and abuse allegedly tied to Diddy's empire. And Lopez, a woman who once stood closest to him, would have had a front row seat to some of the behaviors now being scrutinized.
The charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that. Thank you very much.
Insiders have suggested that Lopez's decision to break her silence is not just about her own experiences, but also about standing in solidarity with others who have suffered in silence. Her revelations have already inspired a new wave of whistleblowing within the industry. A former employee from one of Diddy's ventures has reportedly come forward to corroborate Lopez's claims, stating that surveillance and control were common tactics employed by the Moguls team. This insider described a culture of fear where employees were instructed to monitor and report on anyone who might pose a threat to Diddy's image or operations. According to this source, young women with aspirations of breaking into the entertainment industry were often the most vulnerable targets, lured in with promises of mentorship and professional opportunities, only to find themselves trapped in a system designed to exploit them. One of the most haunting accounts comes from a former associate of Diddy, who was a professional dancer in her early 20s when she first encountered him. She described attending one of his infamous private parties under the impression that it was a networking opportunity for up-and-coming choreographers and performers. According to her, the event quickly took a dark turn. She claims she was pressured to drink a special cocktail provided by one of Diddy's assistants and was later coerced into staying well past her comfort zone. While she has not publicly shared everything that happened that night, she alleges that she felt trapped in an environment where refusal was not an option.
We promise you this is not an April Fool's joke, what you're about to hear. It is an actual lawsuit filed by an attorney in federal court about Diddy.
Another chilling allegation came from someone who worked as part of Diddy's event planning team for several years. This individual, who has chosen to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, described being tasked with procuring talent for private gatherings. These talent scouting missions, they claim, were anything but professional. Young models, dancers, and influencers were often invited under the guise of career advancement, only to find themselves in deeply uncomfortable situations. The former employee revealed that many were never compensated for their time, and some left feeling violated and humiliated. Even more alarming are the allegations tied to Diddy's former protégés, artists who once trusted him to guide their careers. One performer stated that during her time at Bad Boy Records, she was repeatedly subjected to inappropriate comments and advances. When she attempted to distance herself, she claims her career mysteriously stalled. Her music was shelved, meetings were canceled, and she was ultimately dropped from the label without explanation. Years later, she now believes this was a deliberate act of retaliation.
He says that he showed up at this party, or woke up at this party and didn't understand how he got there, that he's insinuating clearly that he'd been drunk, but woke up and at one point saw Gloria Estefan and Emilio Estefan, and Gloria is saying, hey, we need to get him medical help because he's too.
Get an ambulance, get him out of here.
The broader implications of the scandal are staggering. If these allegations are true, they not only expose Diddy, but also force us to question how many others in positions of power have operated under similar pretenses. We must ask ourselves, how deep does this go? How many young dreamers have been caught in the crossfire of an industry that has long turned a blind eye to the abuse of power? The entertainment business, for all its glitz and glamour, has a long history of protecting its own, often at the expense of those who are most vulnerable. It's a system that rewards silence and punishes those who dare to speak out. A system that Lopez, with her platform and influence, is now challenging head-on. And let's not ignore the elephant in the room, the chilling conspiracy theories that have emerged in the wake of these allegations. Some insiders are suggesting that Diddy's business operations were part of a much larger network of complicity within the entertainment world. Whispers of hidden recordings, secret backroom deals, and even the use of intimidation tactics to keep victims silent are now circulating. There are unconfirmed reports that tapes from Diddy's infamous parties, often referred to as freak-offs, are being shopped around to the highest bidder. Footage that could allegedly implicate not just the mogul himself, but also other high-profile figures in Hollywood and beyond. While these claims have yet to be substantiated, the mere suggestion of such evidence is enough to send shockwaves to the industry and leave many wondering who else could be exposed if these tapes were ever made public.
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties. He was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
Lopez's revelations also bring renewed scrutiny to her own history with Diddy, a relationship that was once the talk of tabloids, but now takes on a far darker tone in light of recent events. During their time together, Lopez was already a rising star, while Diddy was at the height of his fame. Their romance, though glamorous on the surface, was fraught with controversy, including the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting that saw both of them briefly detained by police. while Lopez was cleared of any wrongdoing, the incident marked the beginning of what she later described as a tumultuous and emotionally draining chapter in her life. In hindsight, some are now questioning whether the warning signs of Diddy's alleged behavior were visible even then, and if so, why they were ignored.
Did you ever spend time with the guy? Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart, super business. He's very successful.
It's worth noting that Lopez is not the only high-profile figure to have severed ties with Diddy in recent years. Several former collaborators, including artists who were once signed to his Bad Boy Records label, have come forward with their own grievances. Many of these individuals describe a pattern of exploitation and broken promises, with some claiming they were left financially and emotionally devastated after their time under Diddy's management. In light of these accounts, Lopez's decision to speak out feels less like an isolated act of bravery and more like the latest chapter in a growing movement to hold powerful figures accountable. As we continue to dig deeper into this story, one thing becomes increasingly clear. This is not just about Sean Diddy Combs. It's about a culture of impunity that has allowed individuals in positions of power to operate unchecked for far too long. Lopez's allegations are a stark reminder that even the brightest stars in Hollywood are not immune to the darker forces that lurk behind the scenes. And as more voices join the chorus of those demanding accountability, the industry itself faces a critical moment of reckoning.
People I don't think realized was he had cameras all over the place, unbeknownst to them. And now he has all that footage, supposedly. This is what I'm told. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens if, you're a huge, iconic, TV star or movie star, and you're in some very, very...
Who's getting the money, though?
But where does this all leave us now? Will Lopez's courage be the catalyst for meaningful change, or will the entertainment machine find a way to silence her, just as it has silenced so many others before her? The stakes could not be higher. With Diddy's trial set to unfold in the coming months, and with new allegations emerging almost daily, the world will be watching closely to see whether justice will finally be served, or whether this will be yet another case of power and influence triumphing over truth.
I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
As we wrap up this story, we can't help but wonder, how many more secrets are waiting to be uncovered? How many others, emboldened by Lopez's bravery, will step forward with their own stories? And most importantly, will this moment mark the beginning of a new era of transparency and accountability in Hollywood, or will the industry once again close ranks to protect its own? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This story is far from over, and trust us, the revelations are only just beginning. Stay tuned because what comes next might just change everything.